Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's session and topic on a Wednesday. So this week we are going to be talking about HIV and well-being, how HIV affects us as humans. We're going to be breaking down the virus, and we're going to be speaking about the pros and cons of HIV and the fears that we have as humans with regards to HIV. And we've got the lovely Ameet Shah that's going to be sharing his experience with the virus and giving us some fantastic tips and sharing some information with regards to best ways to keep the immune system healthy, which is very, very important. So this show is really important to me. I've wanted to do it for a very, very long time. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, I wanted to do it for a very long time. And the reason why I wanted to talk about something like this is because it's very hidden and it's put under the carpet a lot of the times. And I remember when I was younger, actually, when I was about 25, I had 2 experiences of having to have a HIV test. And there was a difference between the first time and the second time. And when I'm talking about a shift of energy, it's really a shift of knowledge and understanding. And if you haven't got the knowledge and the understanding and the wisdom with regards to HIV, you're just going to get the energy of just fear. That's all that's going to be around you. When I was 25 and I had my son, I went into intensive care and I needed to have that blood transfusion. So they came to me and they said, to have the blood transfusion, you're going to have a HIV test to make sure everything's okay before you take the blood. And I was absolutely terrified. I was terrified to take the test. I was terrified to find out if it was going to be negative or positive. Back then, HIV was classed as, if you've got it, you're going to die straight away. So the death factor was there. And I was just 100% fearful. And they done the blood transfusion and everything, and the HIV test came out negative. However, it made me realize how scared and fearful I was to even take the test, much less find out what it was. And it made me realize that I didn't know nothing about it. I didn't know anything about HIV or taking the test. And it made me want to explore more. And it definitely made me want to think, I don't want to be fearful of something like this. So that was in my 20s. And then I had another experience in my 30s where I had a hysterectomy. And what happened was I had a hysterectomy. I went to sleep. They put you to sleep when you're having a hysterectomy. And what happened was one of the surgeons that was doing the procedure had gloves on, and he was using the tools, whatever he was using for the gloves. And one of the tools pricked through the gloves into his hand while he was doing work on me. So the blood, my blood and his blood attached and basically touched each other. So when I came out of theatre, this surgeon was so terrified and scared. And he said, look, this is what happened. We're both going to have a HIV test. And he was really concerned and really, really, really terrified because they've made a mistake. I could have sued, I could have, made a complaint. And I felt his energy. And by then, this was in my 30s, so I would have grown spiritually. And I was able to understand HIV a bit more. And I looked at him and I smiled and I said, everything's going to be okay. It's okay. Everything's going to be okay. And whatever it is, we're going to be okay. And he looked at me and he said, wow, you've taken that so well. And I said, I've taken that well because I have an instinct, I have a feeling that everything's going to be okay. And we both had to take the HIV test. We took the test, and again, everything was okay. It came out negative. But I'm telling you this story because I'm showing you the shift of, in my 20s, when I was petrified of taking the test, much less getting the answer. Then in my 30s, when I grew and I understood HIV a bit more, and even spiritually, I started to take away the attachment of fear and starting to embrace experiences. So when this experience came, whatever it was going to be, it was okay. And I wouldn't have made a complaint with the surgeon or the hospital, because he had gloves on, and it was, you know, it was a misunderstanding. It was a mistake. So I just wanted to share that with you. That's my only experience of having to take the HIV test. And I'm sure everyone that's going to be listening tonight, what was your experience with, if you had to take the HIV test, if you have taken the HIV test, and if you haven't taken it, do you still have fears about it? Is it something that, you know, you just can't do because of the fear factor, or you think you're going to die? Anything, just put your questions down. And if you've got any questions for Ameet, that's going to be coming on in a second, please put your questions down, and he's going to answer all the questions the best that he can. And within the hour, we'll try and get through all the questions. So today's topics, HIV and well-being, and the schedule for today is going to be Ameet coming on to speak about his experience and well-being. And then towards the ending, we're going to take questions and answers. And I've got my little bowl, I call it, my little glass bowl with questions. So I have a little group that I speak to and I do some work with, and I asked them if they had any questions for me tonight. So I've got this here to do afterwards as well. So shall we get Ameet on, guys? I think we should. I'm really excited about this. And before I get him on, I have to say that Ameet was going to do something like this before lockdown. So before lockdown happened about 18 months ago, I asked if he could come on. At that time, I was doing like a podcast, and I asked if he could come on to speak about HIV, because I thought it was very important. And I thought we need to be able to come away from the stigma of what we think we know HIV is and what it actually is. And he wasn't able to come on because obviously the lockdown situation happened. So I'm so happy to announce that Ameet is on here now, and I'm going to get him on so we can discuss and chat and talk about HIV and well-being. So I'm getting him on now. Hopefully this works this time. I had a little problem the last time. So, hello, Ameet.
Hello, Sage. How are you?
Welcome, Ameet.
Welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Lovely to be with everyone. Hello, everybody.
I hope everyone can hear. Is everyone okay with the sound, guys? I've got Mia here. Hi, Mia. She said something went wrong with the sound. I can't hear you. So please let me know if you can hear us okay. If someone can do another type in. Or Mia, if you can do a type in, if you can hear us. I hope that she can hear us okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear you now. Okay, great. Thank you. Welcome, Ameet. So we've got Ameet here, who is a Kundalini Yogi, an energy healer, a massage therapist, an artist and writer, and much, much more than that. And I'm so delighted for him to be on here tonight to speak about something like this, because it's something that we need to break down and discuss. And anyone that comes onto these Wednesday shows knows that we speak about anything with non-judgmental, anything that's of freedom, where we can share our opinions with love, and there's no right or there's no wrong. We're just here to share our opinion with love. So welcome, Ameet.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, which I probably a few years ago would have thought about and bet, nah. But yeah, it's time. It's time. Thank you.
Okay, so Ameet, this is a subject that when we speak about humans, there's still a lot of fear factor, even today, to be honest. And the fear factor is so severe that I know a lot of people that would even go and get a test for no reason, just to make sure that they're okay, or for whatever reason, they're like, no, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. I'm fearful. And most of the fear that's there is because, oh, I'm going to die. Or how is it going to affect other people if I am HIV? So I really want to break those things down so we can share with people the realness of what this virus is, how we can live with it, how we can survive with it, and have a normal life. But first of all, I just want to ask you, just tell us your experience with HIV. How did you attract it, if you want to share that with us? And when you first found out you was HIV, how was that for you? And what was you like before? Was you like someone like myself that was just fearful, like 100%? Share with us.
Okay, so hi everyone, good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you are. So when I was diagnosed in 2014, and it was not in my mind. It was something which was non-existent to me, and in a way it was like, oh, that's never going to happen to me. So already there was a mindset due to the stigma, the taboo, that we shouldn't be engaging with that kind of association with that word. And to be honest with you, I didn't know very much about it. And being a gay man from an Asian background, from an Indian background, it's another, in a way, it's another obstacle in the way, if you want to say it that way. Because there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of fear in general, but also when we're from certain cultures in the world, there is a lot, this fear and shame and guilt is multiplied. And it was a shock. And it brought back something about a relative who passed away in the early 90s of AIDS. Because the HIV virus, according to the medical model, does turn into AIDS if it is not treated. And then what happens is the person's body shuts down and they're unable to fight off a very common infection. So all that was stirred up inside me when I was diagnosed. And then there was a lot of judgment. But as a man who is a sexual orientation of being gay, I had been leading a very secretive life of being intimate with people of the same gender without telling anyone. My previous relationships were in secret because I couldn't speak to anyone about them. That comes with its own, own topic. But that, because of all that, this was an extra hurdle, because I was diagnosed with something already when I'm already living a private life, a double life. And so it was very, very difficult for me to be able to share my concerns, to be even, all the guilt that comes up. And the feeling, as you mentioned earlier, about, oh my God, am I going to die? And even knowing in 2014 that there was medication, people were at that time still living with old information about side effects of medications that came out in the early 90s. So all of that for me to compute and accept took me a long time, and I didn't take medication for about a year after diagnosis. And I spent about 3 or 4 months alone trying to digest the information.
So,
And then,
sorry, I was just going to ask. So, because I want to get to the beginning bit, because when someone is telling you that, you know, you're HIV and it's positive, I'm assuming your mind is in a daze. Yeah, I'm assuming that. What
yeah.
is the procedure after that? So, what is the procedure? Do they leave you to go home? Do you have to come back? Do they give you medication straight away? Do they
Okay.
give you a leaflet to, like, do they give you someone to speak to? What is the procedure?
Okay. So when I used to get tested every 6 months anyway, I used to go for a blood test because for people who are sexually active, they're recommended to go for regular sexual health tests. After which, I was very ill, so my symptoms were the virus had just come into the body, so I got quite sick for about 3 4 months, like flu. So that's what made me go again. So I'd already had a test, recently before that event. But then I got very, very sick and I was like, what is this? What is going on with my body? I was sleeping all day and yet I was still tired. So on top of that, so I went for my test and they thought I had something called herpes. They said, oh, you've probably got herpes. The test results will come soon. But that was the second test because the first time I had the test came out clear. So I still wasn't happy about the result because I was still very sick. The second test I had 2 3 weeks later came out positive. So that shows the virus had just come into my body and it shows up after a certain amount of time. So it hadn't shown up the first time. When they do tell you, they call you by telephone and they say, could you come into the clinic? So they won't tell you anything over the phone. But I remember that day I was in Brixton buying a laptop and it was a Friday evening and I was like, no, I can't come in now because like I'm with a friend buying a laptop. So I waited for the weekend and to finish. And then I went in on the Monday and the lady said, your results have come up and you've come up positive for HIV. What do you understand by that? So they do ask you, they make sure you're okay. So they said, are you okay? And yes, you're right. I was in a daze. I was like, you what? I couldn't believe it. After which she provided the explanation of the procedure of blood tests. So I did explain to them what I understood of HIV. And that's where I explained about the white blood cells being attacked by the virus. Your immune system is then compromised because the white blood cells are, reduced as the virus multiplies. You then are asked to have another blood test just to confirm how much the viral load is. And those blood tests for about 3 or 4 months are regular, just to monitor the virus level in the blood. They wanted me to start medication straight away. But at that time, I was too nervous. I was too scared. I was too fearful because of the side effects, because I thought the side effects are going to make me very ill. And the death, the thing about death came up as well, like how long is my life going to be, etc., etc. But from 2014 until even now, there has been so much development in medications. And then I accessed counseling. So there are charities. They mentioned that you can get help to have counseling from various charities in London or nationwide. And the doctors were very good, but of course the doctors will only look at the medical side. So they won't address the mental health. They won't address the spiritual side of it. They won't address the emotional, mental side of it. So, I did get treatment eventually after a year, but I started juicing then. That's when I bought my NutriBullet. So
Okay. So so that's the first part. It looks like the sound is keeping cutting out. So bear with us, guys. I'm going to try and put up the volume. Is that better? Lee said that the sound is cutting out. So bear with us, guys. Sometimes it's the internet, but hopefully it should be okay. So where I want to go with this is that that was your first reaction of being told that you're HIV. Now, you would have had to start your journey. Yeah, you would have had to start your journey. This is where the mental health comes in.
yeah.
What was you thinking? Where did you start to begin to be where you are now? Because where you are now, you're on this spiritual journey where a lot of things you see completely differently now to then.
Yeah.
So where did that journey start? Where did you start that journey to start finding yourself and working on your own mental health and spiritual self?
Okay. So I always was someone who likes to take care of themselves generally. So I took pride in my appearance. I used to, go for swimming, like good sauna and steam. Health, my diet is generally quite healthy. So but I always had this background interest in holistic care, like massage. Yoga was something I'd never sort of done, but it was something in the background, and that's what opened up so this was, in a way, this was Pandora's box. So what happened with this is I now look at it as a blessing. I now look at it as, when people ask me, like, how could you say it's a blessing? Because it started my awakening process. It started my process of seeing this from a higher perspective, of why has it happened to me, and how can I actually look at it and help myself, because it enabled me to gain so much knowledge and so much information from a holistic perspective. So we have the medication, and all medications have side effects, whether it's a paracetamol or something more. Everything has a side effect. So my main aim then was to keep my body balanced and detoxified whilst I am on this regime. But what also happened is I booked a holiday to go to Egypt as a fresh start, to start again. And on that holiday, I met a Kundalini yoga teacher in my hotel. And she came up to me. She said, I really think you would benefit from this technology. And on that holiday were lots of synchronicities. The universe was starting to give answers and messages to me. So I came back and I started Kundalini yoga and meditation. And within the first few classes, I released a lot of trauma. I was releasing, I was crying. I felt I'd found myself at home. I felt very much at home. And then, that's where I knew my purpose was helping people, and helping them in the way that I can give them guidance, information, and support from what I have been through mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and even spiritually. And so,
Yeah.
and
I love
making friends with the cells of your body, which include the virus as well. The virus is part of you. You invited it into your body.
Yeah, definitely 100%. I really do agree with that. So when you was on your journey, you was finding yourself, and then you found Kundalini yoga within that. Did that start to shift your mindset of how you was connecting with the virus? So was it that helped you to be who you are today? Or was it just you having it in your system for those years, if you get what I mean? So was it the connection with your spiritual oneness, the Kundalini yoga and everything else that you started to go down, where you was able to shift the energy of oh my gosh, I'm in a daze, I'm gonna die, what is happening to me, why me? We get all those energies that come in, why me? Why has this happened to me? Oh, how can I tell people? If I go into a room, people's gonna think they can get it just like that. I'm assuming here, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming you're always also gonna think about your sexual intercourse after that.
Yeah,
How
I
can I
mean,
keep safe? How can that person keep safe? So how was that for you?
there's so many things that extend from this now. Like as you're mentioning, it opened up a whole load of things about not just the virus, but about my relationship with myself and my truth, with who and what I am. Why am I hiding myself? Why am I in fear of showing the world who I am and what I am? And Kundalini yoga was something that opened up that. It enabled me to open my heart. It enabled me to open my mind, and it enabled me to see that everybody is going through a journey. And my journey is just one of millions and millions of journeys. And it has happened that my awakening, if that's what you want to call it, or my sort of releasing of what I don't need is happening in this lifetime. But with the virus, I think people, when they think about the word, HIV, they automatically think they have a certain type of person stereotyped. But I later found out that this virus is, so many people have got it from different backgrounds and genders, sexualities, race, religion, and even now children are born with it. In some cases, children are born with it. So there is now specialist care available. But how did this could you run a little bit about that again by me, please? What else did you say about this question?
Yeah, now basically it was just about how did that shift of energy shift by you connecting with your spiritual self, the
Yeah.
you, finding yourself, loving yourself. You did answer it, because something like that is very important, because it does allow you to find yourself or not. So it's like a different door that you can go down. You can go down the door of just giving up and thinking that's it. I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna have a relationship again, or I don't want one. I don't know how to deal with this. And you can go through that energy, through that door, or you can go through the door of this is here, this is
Yeah.
now. How can
Yeah.
I build my immune system? How can I
Yeah.
keep my body healthy and
Yeah.
strong? And how can I, and I'm going to say the word, guys, because this is just where I'm coming from. How can you love this? How can you love this?
Yeah.
And myself, I've done a lot of energy work with people that's had HIV, and they've come to me, and this is what I would say to them. Okay, let's work together to love this, because as you said, Ameet, it's part of you now. It's in you. So how can
Yeah.
we love those white cells for
Yeah.
it to shift energy? And
Yeah.
this is where we're coming down the route of well-being now, and the health side of it. So, Ameet, how did the health side, sorry, I can't get my words out, the health side start to take place for you?
So the health side started because I knew how I felt before the diagnosis. It's called seroconversion. So when it comes into your body, eventually, not everybody has this symptom, but it can happen where you get a very strong flu, and that is called seroconversion. And I felt how bad that was, like how the body was debilitated, and so I had an experience of what the virus can do in the body. Because what happens is the virus then goes down. And what they say in the medical model, in the theories, is that it goes down for a few years and it hides in all of your cells. It's like plays hide and seek. And then if you don't have treatment after a few years, that virus can then suddenly come up very quickly and start attacking the body, after which they then say it can turn into AIDS. So HIV is human immunodeficiency virus, whereas AIDS is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So a virus can then turn into a syndrome. So in a way, that was a catalyst for me to really start bolstering my body with antioxidants and fresh sort of fruits and veg, which I already had. But, you know, I started learning about Ayurveda, about herbal medicine. I visited, you know, that's when all this holistic kind of stuff came in, like acupuncture, massage, yoga, meditation. There's so much out there now. Reiki, energy healing, Bach flower remedies to address mental health. The list just goes on. And then I just thought, hang on a minute, this isn't just for people who have got a diagnosis. This is for everyone.
Yeah.
So rather than getting something, like we have all gone through this pandemic now, so in a way, the pandemic was a reenactment of what I've already gone through. So this pandemic made me awaken further. So I'd already awakened, and then I awakened further. So the diet, I feel, is energy given to the body, so that the energy going into the body is from nature and from interventions which are holistic. So food and intervention, so that the energy you then give out is going to be strong in all the facets of your being. Because what we consume is not just what we consume as a food, but what are we consuming as energy through what we're in contact with outside. And just you mentioned very quickly, I just say this, you mentioned about why me and what's going to happen to me and all that. You have to go through that process of experiencing that to be able for it to go away from you, because that's also part of the journey.
Yeah, definitely 100%. So if we've got people that's listening in and, you know, they're HIV and they've got the virus, they're experiencing the virus, because that's what I call it an experience. They're experiencing the virus. What fruit and veg and stuff that they can eat to boost their immune system? What sort of stuff can they eat that would be good for the white cells?
Okay, so I think for food, so one thing you have to people who experience the HIV virus, a lot of talk comes in is about having a balanced meal. So a balanced meal is enough fiber, enough protein, and enough carbohydrate. Now, a lot of the symptoms of the virus are that we need protein for the muscles, because before there was treatment, people had muscle wasting, and, you know, lots of other symptoms that moved towards AIDS. That's not the case anymore. But because the load of the medication is quite heavy, the medications that are taken, the body needs to also be detoxed. And that's with any medication. So drink lots of water, have a whole rainbow spectrum of food. So if you look at the colors of the rainbow, eating food of all the different colors, because they're all for different parts of the body. They include all the vitamins and minerals, also herbs. So you can incorporate herbs through herbal teas. You can research Ayurvedic supplements, which are good for the white blood cell count, the nervous system, the hormonal system, the endocrine system, because our mental health is affected due to the energy attached to this. And, you know, I can recommend a lot of things that I take. If people want information, they can always contact me and I can share this. And also adequate rest. A lot of things that are attached with this virus is about stress. So people who experience this virus, they're advised not to take on too much stress, because stress lowers the immune system.
Yes.
And that's the white blood cells. And when the white blood cells are compromised, that's when other infections can come into the body. Now, with the medication, that's all well and good, but it's very important, if you are HIV positive and on medication, that you are regular with your medication. So that's also part of nutrition. So you can keep that tablet or 3 tablets as part of your nutrition, but spiritually, before you take that medication, you can energize those tablets. So you put them in your hands or do a little ritual with them every day, just for a few seconds, and say, may this turn into, you know, good energy, or may this turn into light, however you may call it. So whatever you put into your body, also remember, you can transform it by your energy. And don't forget, you can have treats as well. You don't have to not have any chocolate or any, because there is research that shows when you eat something that you like every now and again, it increases the hormones, endorphins, and all those, you know, oxytocin, all those feel good hormones.
Yes,
So,
it
you know,
does.
it's not about being a nun.
Yeah, no, I love that because it does do that, doesn't it? That's just amazing. I love this talk, and I know that people tuning in, they're going to get something from this. I just want to go back because a question came to my mind that I wanted to ask you, because there might be people on here again that's still going through an experience like this and not telling anyone, and being in silent, and still not even telling their family and friends, because this is how severe it is still. Even in 2021, we're still having people that don't want to tell their family, scared to tell people, scared to tell their children, if they, you know, if they've got children. So what sort of advice would you give to anyone that's experiencing it, especially if it's their first year? Their first year is really crucial, because you're still in, I'm assuming you're still in the days. So what advice can you give to anyone out there?
So what the health professionals say, that it normally takes about a year for the process of the shock and the digestion of the, you know, diagnosis, to accept it, and then to allow that to process through the body. So, you know, you have that mourning period, and then you have the acceptance period after that. So they say up to a year. Give yourself a year for you to go through what you need to go through. And then obviously, if you feel that it's something that is still you need support with, and it's a completely personal decision, totally personal, whether you want to disclose this or not. Now, with the medication, it is the guaranteed. So there's something called U equals U. So basically, if you are undetectable from the medication, so once you're on medication now, somebody can become undetectable very quickly. Okay, so that means undetectable means the virus is suppressed in the blood, and then you are uninfectious. You can't pass it on to anyone. And that is a very big achievement in this world up to now. So this has been made, disclosed about 3 years ago. It was made open, that U equals U. So you can look that up. I was part of a project, U equals U, where people of other marginalized groups were raising awareness of this. But there are so many groups that you can access for support. There's counseling services, there's social groups where people can get together and get support from each other, where other people are also in the same situation. There's peer mentoring services that these charities provide. At the moment, I'm in a role as a HIV patient rep at a hospital. I'm going to be moving away from that role very soon, but it's taught me a lot about how people can be supported. And a lot of the time, people just want someone to talk to. So if you decide not to tell your family, that's perfectly fine, but you may feel you want to talk to someone who is outside of the story. And that is very healing, because there are peer mentors in all of these charities. And I think we can put a link underneath of a few charities afterwards that can provide support, or you can contact me and I can have a chat with you as well, because I have done peer mentoring myself. So I'm now a peer mentor, so I can also provide that support to you. But it's a completely unique decision that one may make. And please do not feel that if you do not want to tell anyone, it's a problem, because it isn't. That is completely your decision. I felt I had to, because that's the kind of person I am. I like talking and expressing myself, as you can probably see.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I know that everything that you've said tonight, it's going to touch someone somewhere. And guys, if you've got any questions for me while we're speaking, please get it down, because we are going to be around nowish. We're going to do a question and answer. And please get your questions in, and Ameet will answer it. So I've got a little, I don't even know what to call it, glass bowl of questions, of a couple of questions here that I have a little group, and I asked them today if there's any questions that they would want to ask with regards to this topic tonight. So I'm going to read it out for Ameet to answer. So let's see. So the first one is, some of them you might have answered already, I don't know. Okay, I don't think you've answered this one. Okay. How many different medications are out now?
Okay.
How many different medications are out now?
So when I was diagnosed, I was told there were about 25 different tablet regimes available. One, because each regime is different for each person. So depending on whether you have any other ailments, some medications may not be suitable. Some medications may be one tablet a day. Other regimes are 3 tablets a day. But the good thing now is that you can take medication once a day with your meal or at a specific time. And if one doesn't suit you, you can always, and you'll know when something doesn't suit you, your body will speak to you. Some medications, some people have problems with insomnia. Other people may start having side effects where their mental health, they'll see a change. So it's very important that you keep tabs on the way you're feeling after you start taking a medication. Digestion is something that may also be affected. Some people get diarrhea. So there's 25 minimum, and I think now they have about 50 different tablet combinations for people to take. And now they're even talking about injections coming out in the future. So they're trialing injections. So that's something that is at the very beginning stage of research, and I think it's being trialed on people. But spiritually, I'd like to say that from a higher self-development perspective, we can always alchemize something going into our body and try it that way as well and see if it works. And then you can always, you know, because this is a spiritual group as well, I'm mentioning this. And then you can always talk to your doctor if you feel uncomfortable. I changed my tablet regime before lockdown because what I was on was causing extreme suicidal or panicky thoughts. I felt like I didn't want to be here. And I only changed the tablet regime in March last year. And it's made a huge difference to my mental health. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's good to share. Thank you for sharing that, because do people know that you can go and change your medication? If it's not
you
working
have every
for
right
you,
to.
if you're not
Yes.
connecting with it, you know, you have a right to do that. So thank you
some
for sharing that.
some doctors may try to talk you out of it, but I will say one thing: it is your right to actually ask to change your medication. Even if your doctor tries to stop you from doing so, it is your right, and you can always get a second opinion.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, next one. Woo, I like this. I might bring this in every week.
It's like a raffle.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so next one's okay, I think you answered this, but you can go more in depth. How long can it take before the virus can show itself? So before it shows itself, can you have the virus for years and no one would know? Is it only when the symptoms show itself?
Okay, so every person is different. And I have heard some people having it for many, many years without knowing. And they've never had a test because they never used to get tested. But because their body composition and their immune system was of a certain level, I've heard 10, 15 years even, they didn't know. And then they started seeing a change in their health, or they started recognizing something was different, and then they went for the test. Or as you said in your like situation, Sage, you were tested before an operation or something like that. It has been found out. So for me, it was straight away. My body is very sensitive. It detected something coming in. I went for a test. But for some years, some people, it could be 2 years, 3 years. So it's very individual. So this is why I always say that if you do think that you have a chance of experiencing this virus, then go and get tested every 6 months to a year so that you can stay in the loop of that question being answered for you. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, the last one. I think you've answered this already as well, but you can go deeper into it. What is the difference between AIDS and HIV?
Okay. So this term, so even in this 2021, people still use both words as the same. They're not the same.
Yeah.
So we don't really get many AIDS cases anymore, because the virus is kept under control and it is suppressed in the blood. And so HIV is human immunodeficiency virus, which means it is a virus that attacks the immune system to make it deficient, to make it underactive, and that is in humans. If that virus raises in the blood and it's not treated or it's not managed, then it would invade the body, and then the organs will start shutting down slowly, where the body won't be able to defend itself. That is when it turns into AIDS, which is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. It becomes a syndrome.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, the way you explained that, I didn't even know that in depth like that. So that's just so interesting to know the difference of the virus and its syndrome. And that's an easy way to remember.
Yeah.
Easy way. I didn't even know that. So yeah, great. Okay, so we've got a question from Jan. I'm going to put it up.
Hi, Jan.
So Jan says, have your parents accepted your sexuality and the fact you are HIV positive?
Okay, very good question. Thank you so much for raising this. This is the reason why I have become more vocal now, because within like people who are from traditionally from the areas of the world where our culture is from, it's still kept very hush hush. So my parents have now accepted it, but it's taken a lot of experiencing of different emotions. It's taken a lot of experiencing of inner turmoil, of going through pain, and even trying to educate them in the beginning days. They didn't want to know. They didn't want to read the leaflets. So it and I don't blame them at all, because I understand how it feels, because before I was diagnosed with the virus, I wouldn't want to, it's fear.
Yeah.
It's fear. So that was okay, and even the sexuality. So it was something which wasn't accepted at the beginning. And I've had to go through a lot of trauma, a lot of standing by who I am, but leading my life away from, not talking about it, to be able then to come back in my awakening process, be vocal, and then see the change in them. Okay, they still might not be able to talk about it just as I am, but they are now, it's in their field and they've accepted it, which is a quite a long way to develop for people who have come from another country to a different culture, and then who have had to adapt to the culture of another land, and then learn about the things. I mean, it's everywhere. It's even in India and Pakistan and Africa, but it's our belief systems which need to evolve. It's our energy and consciousness that needs to evolve. And this is very quickly, I'll bring in, there are now religious groups, cultural groups of people of all backgrounds who are now providing training for HIV. and even providing support in a spiritual aspect from the religious sides, where actually it's not looked at as a guilt trip anymore. So things are changing. Things are changing.
And what I will do tomorrow, because what I like to do is repost this topic for people that didn't get to see it live. And what we would do is put on the post the charities that you can go to, and just some healthy well-being stuff that you can take part in and you can do to really build on that immune system. Because on my spiritual level of who I am, I know it's about connecting to your immune system. And the more that you can shift that energy from fear, hate, not misunderstanding, just not wanting it, to embracing it and bringing that love energy in, it's going to shift. Because we're talking about energy here, and that's with anything.
Yes. And this is what I will say, that the immune system doesn't just respond to herbs and foods. The immune system is a multidimensional, multifaceted, and multisensory system. And once the immune system recognizes our spirit and our mind, those are two of the most powerful tools that can have an effect on our overall health.
Yeah, definitely. Jan has said, thank you for explaining this. Your openness and honesty is so refreshing. And it is refreshing because this is a topic, and this is why I like doing these shows. Yeah. And this is part of my purpose, is to bring out subjects and topics that people are afraid of, that people are shy, that people have a lot of guilt, a lot of fear to be able to speak it out. And sometimes it's not for them to speak out, but because we can speak it out, it's going to help them still.
Yes.
Not everyone's here to have a voice like how we can and be able to speak things out. But by us doing that and having that energy, it can still help others. And this topic was very important to me, even though in this lifetime, at this present moment, I haven't experienced it in this way. I know what it's like when I had to take the HIV test. And, earlier when I explained in my 20s, I was horrified and fearful. And in my 30s, I was able to embrace it because I learned, and I was able to shift that energy through wisdom, understanding, and really being able to work out what happens in this lifetime with regards to experiences and how we take it on. If something's going to face us, it's facing us for a reason, because it's part of our learning tool. And I'm going to bring in the spiritual aspect here, and with understanding that this is a contract that we've chosen.
Yeah.
As humans, able to understand that and think, well, I chose this because I'm strong enough to experience this. Why is this? What does this mean? Because I know for you and me, when you speak about your experiences and what you've been through from your past to now to your present, and how much you've grown and how much you're able to speak out and help others, clearly to me, looking into your story, this is your purpose. If you didn't experience this, and if you didn't have this virus, you wouldn't be here speaking about it now, and you wouldn't be here doing your purpose and helping others and doing the job that you're just coming out of. So that alone gives me so much joy, and it gives me so much love to know that, wow, that was your purpose, but look what you're doing, and you're going to continue to do that. So I can see love in that, and I just wanted to share that, because a subject like this, we can go down the road of, oh my gosh, and this is what's happening, and you feel like this, and this is you now, and let's shift that energy, and let's bring the light, and let's bring the enjoyment of an energy and an experience where we can learn from, and we can learn from in a positive way, whoever it is. I know that I share, you know, when I'm speaking to people and they might say, oh, I'm HIV, but no one knows. I'm able to give them more information because I know you and you share your experiences. I know other people and they share their experiences, and I'm able to share that to somebody else. So we don't have to, all of us don't have to experience everything that everyone else is experiencing, but we can learn from it and take it on to be able to share to others. We've got some comment from Amunet. Welcome, Amunet. And you can't even say your name. What's going on here? Kels. I can't say Amunet for some reason, but Kels is here. So Kels says, it is so important that Ameet just said, the immune system being multi-dimensional and once recognized and incorporated works together with the mind and the senses. Definitely, without a doubt. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, that's my mantra now, because I'm always now mind, body, spirit, mind, body, awareness, mind, body, consciousness, energy. You know, that is just my mantra now. It can't, it's all just woven so intricately. So it's like when you give someone a head massage, you're not just massaging the head, you're massaging the whole body, because the points are all connected. So yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah, excellent. Annette says, we've got Annette here, says, I totally agree. So she agrees with everything that you're saying. And I know it's definitely gonna benefit anyone that listens. And even with this is something that we can share out, because it's going to help someone that's not ready to speak out. And not ready to tell anyone, and that's okay, you know, but if you can get something from it, that's a benefit until you're ready to get to the next stage, if you want to do that. Yeah, so we're coming up to 9 o'clock. It's gone so fast, but before you leave us, Ameet, what can you say? What's going to be your last words? What are your last words that you want to give out to anyone that's listening to this?
We are never alone. So we may think that the worst is happening to us at the moment that we experience it, but always know that this too shall pass. And when that storm blows over, you'll be able to see what it's revealing out there for you. And there are so many people, groups, institutions, charities, so many books, there's knowledge online, but above all, you have yourself. And every one of us, we are so amazing. We are capable of changing the energy so quickly. And, you know, Sage, this is one of your inspirations, actually, because, you know, change the energy flow. So, you know, from the beings. So, yeah, it's I'm feeling a bit tearful now. But yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's so just never feel you're alone, and we're all connected through the same energy. And keep going, do what you need to do. Bad days, good days, it's all days. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ameet, for being here tonight. Thank you for sharing your experiences, your story with everyone. And please, anyone, if you want further information, please, Ameet's there on Facebook. You can inbox him, you can add him as a friend, and you can get more information if you want to. Ameet, stay on the line. I'm just going to put you off for a bit, but stay on to the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, that was just amazing. That really was amazing. That was so much fantastic information from Ameet, and him being able to share his story to everyone was just absolutely fantastic. So I'm really happy that he came on to share his experiences. I hope you guys got something from it. And I hope that even if you know anyone that is HIV, you can share this information on, you can share the topic on, and let's share and just let's grow and learn and, you know, share with love. So thank you guys. So as I ending, and as I always say, Saturday we have the lovely Angelina Ray. She does her psychic reading and a mediumship every Saturday. She's also got a spiritual development workshop going on, guys. If you're interested, it's all about knowing your inner self, finding your psychicness within and your mediumship within. If you're interested in that, then give a message on here, our page, or you can inbox Angelina Ray herself. Myself, my Tibetan 5 Rights is going to be on a Sunday now, and I've gone over to Instagram. So it's going to be Instagram live on a Sunday at 10 a.m. So join me if you've got Instagram and you want to come over on a Sunday and relax your body and get your body ready for the week. That's where I'm going to be on a Sunday. And here on a Wednesday, I think I'm doing next week Wednesday as well. And then after that, we might have Angelina back on doing a Wednesday, but we will see. We'll keep you updated, guys, with that. So thank you everyone for joining us and taking part into this week's topic, which was HIV and well-being. And I hope you got something from it. So until next time, and until next week, guys, see you later. Love and peace. Bye.